let's continue working down the body.
Yeah. So low back, I would assume same thing, like being in a crouch position for long periods of time. Do you feel fatigue in your low back? It sounds like he does.
Yeah, I would definitely say my low back, especially to your point is it protracted when you're next forward?
Yep.
When I'm protracted, because I'm usually protracted if I'm filming something that's low, and then I'm retracted, like excessively retracted because I'm looking at my screen if it's something that's like up high.
Got it.
So I have the monitor on a different screen, but you can see where that monitor's like positioning is, right? It's a little bit higher. It's above the camera. So my eyes, and it's usually tilted forward a little bit, so my eyes then become forward like this, or they become back like this if I'm looking up. I know I'm literally like the worst use case for but like everything
That's
you're
good.
describing is stuff that's very helpful that I can utilize. So
That's good. Yeah. I mean, and then if we really want to get into it, like there's on the floor body positioning, right? Like the position that you're in when you're filming. And then there's the standard ergonomic position that you're in when you're on the computer.
yeah, that's a whole nother battle.
And even just what you said.
Talk about shrimp.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure no one's like perfectly aligned, right? Upright with a 90-degree angle at the elbows every time they are on the computer, right? But I think even like the standard ergonomics say like you want the top third of your screen to be in line with your eyes, but you actually want your eyes to be glancing down about 20 degrees.
Oh.
So, there's like little things like that.
I'm like, as I'm sitting here right now, I'm like, oh, geez.
I know. I'm like hyper focused.
Let me get. Okay, here we go.
Most people straighten up when they hear I'm a PT and they're like, oh, are you looking at my posture?
I feel so judged. No, this is very helpful. So lower back.
Yeah, lower back. So I'm guessing, well, you tell me, is your lower back more of an issue when you're sitting at the computer or when you're on the floor filming or both?
I would say I don't necessarily feel it when I'm filming. I feel it like when I stop. And it's probably adrenaline and that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
But when I physically either stop for the day or I switch up and get to that computer, that's typically when it comes into play.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a reason having to do with the endurance and kind of like the small stabilizing muscles. So I'll give you a little like PT crash course. We kind of divide the body into two groups of muscles. We have like our large mover muscles, and then we have our small stabilizing muscles. And the mover muscles are the ones that help us like hoist that heavy deadlift off the ground. And the stabilizing muscles are like the little ones that kind of keep the head of your shoulder centered as you bring weight overhead. So they both have super important roles, obviously. I find that most CrossFitters tend to be more dominant in their mover muscles, and we're really good at lifting big loads off the floor, right?
Couldn't imagine anyone who would ever fit that description.
Me neither.
But yeah, so lifting that heavy weight off the floor, our big mover muscles are responsible for that. But in order to sustain these kind of awkward positions for prolonged periods of time, especially with a lighter weight camera, that kind of falls to the muscles that are stabilizing your spine, the little guys that are responsible for holding you in that position for hours at a time, that sort of thing. So you could be really strong and be able to lift a lot of weight and have no back pain, but you could spend a day filming and be like, man, my back is blown up. Why is that? And that's also the reason that a lot of my strong CrossFitters that I assess, I get them into a single leg position and ask them to just balance for 30 seconds and they fall apart.
Yeah.
Or I ask them to do like a hip airplane, right? Where they're balancing and trying to move without losing their balance and they completely fall apart.
Yeah.
It's that stability versus strength idea. And so a lot of times if your back is really feeling tired, fatigued, after a long day, it has more to do with the stability or the endurance of those small stabilizing muscles than just your overall strength.
So what can we do lower back wise to help us out?
Yeah, so I love anything that involves an unstable force to the body. So think of like you've got a bamboo bar, right? That's very movable. It creates kind of what we call perturbations at the body. Mm-hmm. And so if you're back squatting, push pressing, overhead squatting, doing anything really with a bamboo bar, there's this need for your body to stabilize against those micro movements. And that is oftentimes the role of those deep stabilizers of the spine. And so you could do stuff like, farmer's carries, farmer's marches, bamboo bar work. Anything with like a bottoms up kettlebell is really unstable and shaky and you have to kind of resist against it. Kind of like the PT traditional movement for the low back, the go-to for a lot of PTs is like the bird dog. Have you seen that, right?
I mean, thanks to your amazing Instagram, I've seen all of these movements, and I'm sure we'll be able to pull some of that stuff in here because I see literally, whether it's you or Chris, your co-owner husband.
Yep.
Amazing dad.
Yep, Chris.
Right.
But to answer your question, anything that like makes you shake and feels like, oh, this is hard for my body to control, usually that's a good movement that's taxing those little stabilizing muscles. And then endurance, I mean, you guys know as well as I do, like there's so many endurance exercises you can do, like a GHD back extension hold, right? You're just holding, your spine is having to hold you off that GHD for a prolonged period of time. Great example of a low back endurance exercise. And if you're doing it right and keeping your back in a really good kind of aligned position and not just over relying on those erector spinae, which pull your back into this extreme arch position, then you're also using some of those deeper stabilizers. And so you're getting kind of more bang for your buck. So that'd be like a good one.
So to continue on our theme with like, lunchtime, you got that hour. What's some practical either equipment or something? Because everything you outlined there, like there are some solutions, but typically people aren't going to have like a bamboo bar traveling with them. And if they do, mad respect. But like something like that where it would be like, bring this or utilize this.
Yeah, in that case, I'd probably rely on more body weight. I mean, bands are always good for some of those like small resistive movements, like we talked about the neck and kind of resisting the retraction. Your back is a little bit stronger, but I find that if you put your body into positions, we'll take the bird dog, for example, since everyone kind of knows what that looks like, right? You're on all fours, one arm, one leg out. If that's a hard movement for you to control and just keeping your pelvis aligned, that's already challenging. Great. That's an exercise for you. But you can progress that movement by, elevating that foot of the knee that's down. And now you have two very small points of contact with the ground. It makes it very challenging. Everyone go home and try this because it doesn't sound hard, but it's very hard. So if you're only balancing yourself on one hand and one knee, and you're trying to keep your spine flat, you're trying to keep one arm, one leg extended outward, that's really hard for your deep, small core and back stabilizing muscles to hold you in that position. So that's like a great way to kind of tap into those small stabilizing muscles. During competition, though, you're not necessarily going to be making like strength gains in those muscles, right? In like the hour that you have. So in those small periods of time that you have, I'd probably be focusing more on mobility and range of motion and getting out of the position that you've been in for the previous hour, because you're going to have more, you're going to feel better with that. So like if you've been in that kind of forward flex position, and now we're talking about your low back, if you get on your belly and do like in yoga, it's called a cobra or a press up, where you're essentially arching your back, or CrossFitters kind of know like a Superman, right? That's a big extension movement. Yeah, everyone loves a Superman. That's just getting your spine out of that forward flex position that you've been in for 2 hours. And so I bet you would feel great if you did that.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, this is all stuff we can implement like immediately. So
that's right, yeah. And all you need so far is a band for the neck, a foam roll for the upper back, just your body weight for the low back, and some floor space.
Discipline.
Yep. You can't be worried about looking weird in front of your friends.
I got no problem with that. Trust me.